It is currently January 19th, 2026. It is currently the midway point of the NBA season. It is also just the aftermath of the national championship. Shout out Indiana University. Big time win for them. Gotta love Fernando Mendoza. But more importantly, we're here today to talk about every season's mid season grade. I'm going to be ranking teams based on how well they are as a team and how well they're accomplishing their goal this year. So, for example, teams like the Washington Wizards, Utah Jazz, they suck. We know that. But they may not be necessarily in the F tier because their goal is to suck. It's based on the moves they've made, how they're playing on the court, am I seeing any potential, kind of things like that. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's start off with the first team on the list, the Atlanta Hawks. So for Atlanta, obviously they had a huge move, which was trading Trae Young. Got the stupid ad right here. But they had that huge move, trading Trae Young. Jalen Johnson's emerged as a great star. Nah has been such an underrated pickup. Minnesota really regrets losing him because if a team like Minnesota had Nah right now at the level he's playing, they might genuinely give OKC a run for their money or Denver a run for their money, which I still think they can, but more on Minnesota later. But I think Atlanta this year started off pretty good, kind of teetered down a little bit. Ever since the Trae Young trade, it's just been the CJ McCollum show for some reason. They're just letting him get all the touches over Jalen Johnson, but whatever. I think they've just been a very solid team. I don't know what direction Atlanta wants to go in. They're basically playing with house money this season, so if they want to be active buyers at the deadline, this would be the year to do it. If it's an Anthony Davis, if it's a John Morant, I think this would be the year to do it because you have that Pelicans pick, so you can be as good as you want. You're still basically getting a lottery pick. And yeah, I think if there's ever a time for Atlanta to go all in, it would be now. Otherwise, I think they just had a very mediocre season. Next up, Boston. Wow, this team, they get an S tier. They have been so good. They are playing Joe Mazzulla's system perfectly. They shoot a bunch of threes, and Jaylen Brown looks like an MVP player right there, dropping 30 every night. He can get you 50. He can play elite defense. His playmaking has got a lot better this season with Tatum out. And this team is doing exactly what they wanted to do. Stay very, very competitive and just waiting for Tatum to rehab, get healthy, and come back so they can make another title push. Boston looks really, really good this year. But I wouldn't say they're a contender just yet. I really don't get much of the Eastern Conference. You'll see that in a lot of my rankings for the other teams. But Boston gets an S tier for their performance this season. They're the number 2 seed at the time I'm recording this, and they just don't show any signs of slowing down. Next up, we got the Brooklyn Nets. Now, Brooklyn, they are interesting because Brooklyn necessarily has such a weird idea. Like, what is Brooklyn trying to do? Because I think the way they shop Michael Porter Jr. is going to show a lot about this team because on one hand, your coach and the players look like they want to go out and compete. On the other end, it looks like front office kind of wants to just tank. So on both sides of the basketball and both sides of the coin, Brooklyn is very half and half. Like literally, on one half, their offense is not the best. It's mainly just Michael Porter Jr. But defensively, Brooklyn's been really good defensively this season. And on the flip side, their players and their coaching staff wants to win these games. But the front office, it shows like they're kind of trying to tank. So I would say Brooklyn, even though despite all this, I'd still give them like a C tier for their performance this season. You have a very young team. You drafted a bunch of rookies. Igor Dem looks pretty good. They had a couple other rookies that look decent. Danny Wolf, he kind of has a way to go, but this team looks fine. Michael Porter Jr., they should cash in on his value right now. He's going to net them in a lot of assets. I think Brooklyn is fine, but they need to hurry up with the rebuild or find some future capital because Houston has their pick, I'm pretty sure, next year, and they cannot afford to be bad next year. Next up, we got the Charlotte Hornets. Now, the Hornets are a very interesting team because they've been playing some very good basketball down the stretch. They've got some quality wins. Concanupo looks good. LaMelo had some really, really good games. And I think they're building something in Charlotte, bro. I think this season has been a good season for Charlotte. Concanupo looks good. Ryan Kalkbrenner looks good. LaMelo, he's been coming in, giving you the LaMelo ball types you expect, 30 and 10, 30 and 15. This team, like, I think they're good, bro. Like, they are underrated in the East. I'm not saying they're gonna, like, playoff team or whatever, but I think they're better than what people give them credit for. Normally, you think of the Charlotte Hornets, you think of just straight, like, trash, but this team is a lot better than people think. This team is pretty underrated. I'm gonna give them a B tier. They're building a youth movement there. Maybe they shop LaMelo at the deadline. I don't know, but what they're building right now in Charlotte, I like. This team gets a B. Next up, we got the Chicago Bulls. You guys are going to be the first failing grade this video. Chicago every year pisses me off because they just don't have an idea of what they're going to do. They kind of want they are stuck in mediocrity, and that is the worst place you can be in the NBA. They don't want to fully accept a rebuild and just tank, but they're also not good enough to be a contender or a real legitimate playoff team. So they're stuck in the annual play-in cycle with the Heat and the Hawks. And like at least the Hawks have Jalen Johnson, like a young player to build around. They just traded Trae Young and they got off that stuff. So at least they have something going for them. Like, what does Chicago have going for them? Montas Buzelis, he looks fine. But other than Montas, like, what do you like as a Bulls fan? What do you have to look forward to? What have you done this season that's been useful? They had a really nice start. Giddey looks good, but like what what are you doing? Like, you have no direction. You have no idea for the future. So they're definitely getting a D. Next up, we have my Cleveland Cavs. They are also getting a D. One of the most disappointing teams this season has been the Cleveland Cavs. I'm going to go pretty in depth on this because they're my team. This team cannot score. And it's been evident Darius Garland means a lot more to this team than people think. And more than Darius Garland, Ty Jerome meant a lot more to this team than people think. Because right now, we're watching the Cleveland Cavs play basketball without Darius Garland. He's out with the injury. This team needs a shot creator because teams, what they're doing is they're just sending two at Mitchell and they're saying, hey, Tyson, Hunter, Mobley, Allen, go beat us. And they can't. They can't put the ball on the floor and score the ball. And one thing I really hate about this team is Evan Mobley is being used on the perimeter, and I just don't like it. He is not good when he puts the ball on the floor and tries to like drive in and score. Evan Mobley is a post player. Please use him as such, Kenny Atkinson. Stop putting him on the perimeter. Stop trying to turn him into a player he's not. He's an interior force. And more importantly, that interior force, I don't know where it's been, bro. This guy won a Defensive Player of the Year, and today, like on MLK Day, Chat cashed him out, bro. Chat literally, the defense from Evan Mobley looked lackluster, it looked lazy, and it looked like the guy gave up. And you cannot do that when you're trying to win a Larry O'Brien. So the Cleveland Cavs, bro, y'all gotta figure it out, bro. Make a trade, do something, because I had so much expectations for this team, bro. Coming into the year, we all thought New York and Cleveland were going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and now we don't know if either of them are going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. So yeah, this Cleveland season has been terrible. Dallas, yeah, I can't lie, bro. Y'all low key. Do I give them? Yeah, nah. Cooper Flag looks good. Cooper Flag looks fine. The AD, yeah. What am I saying, bro? This team traded Luka. You you traded Luka last season with the hopes and dreams of being a good team this season. Kyrie Irving gets injured. AD gets injured. You get an F just for existing, bro. You got lucky with Cooper Flag. You're not getting rewarded for that. This team gets an F, and we all know why. This team, even though they got some players there, bro. Brandon Williams, he could hoop. Cooper Flag, he's been looking good. Clay had like a 30-point game the other night. This team has some decent players, but they need to be sellers. They need to start fresh. They got rid of Nico. They got rid of Nico Harrison. That's something I can give you props for. But yeah, I can't lie. That's the like only good thing they've done all season. Denver. Denver gets another S tier. Who would have thought the Denver Nuggets are like 13 men deep? They have a roster with 13 genuine rotational players. It's scary. I think the Denver Nuggets, they are the favorite out west. I know OKC, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. They have the best player in the world. They have another player who's playing at an elite level at Jamal Murray, who's dropping 30 whenever you need him to, leading this offense without Nikola Jokic. They are legit, and they have found that out because of Nikola Jokic's injury. Obviously, we don't wish anything on anyone, but Nikola Jokic's injury has low-key been a blessing in disguise for this team because they have found a gem in Peyton Watson. Their depth just keeps going up. They have Spencer Jones. They have players that can step up whenever this team gets tired in the postseason. And that's what they've been missing throughout the years. They didn't have that external player that could come and, match OKC's depth. And now they've found that with Peyton Watson and all these other players on this team. This team has just had a really good season. Even with their best player going down, they are still competitive in winning games. Half their roster was out, and they beat the Philadelphia 76ers fully healthy. This team gets an S tier. They have had an elite season. Detroit gets our first A. The only reason I'm not giving this team an S is because I want them to make a move. I know everyone's been saying Detroit needs to hold off and not make a move. If Detroit really wants to take the next step, I don't see where the secondary scoring option for Cade comes from. Jalen Duren is cool, but I don't think he's your 2 if you want to win a championship. You can't win a championship with Jalen Duren as your second option, scoring the ball wise. And if I'm Detroit, I have to look at a move like that. So other than that, they've been really good. The continuity looks great. Cade looks great. The team can't score, and that's why you need a somebody who can put the ball in the basket, maybe an MPJ. But yeah, this team looks good. Not much to say about them. They just need to make some moves around the edges, and they'll be fine. You want to know another team that's really disappointing me this season? Golden State. Golden State every year knows what they need, and they just don't get it, bro. The small ball era is dead in the NBA. They revolutionized it. They're the ones who kind of like introduced it to the league. But now the death lineup shit doesn't work. Like, you can't win without a genuine big man, a true 5 on your team. And it shows so clearly against every opponent they play. Watching the Warriors play basketball is genuinely like, it hurts, bro. Because they are like a big man away. Like, they are like a goddamn consistent Jared Allen away from being a very good team. They have depth. They have, Steph. They have Jimmy. They have Draymond. They have a good team. I don't know if like they're contenders even with the center, but they can be like a really good team with a consistent big man. And like dude, if this team had like Jalen Duren, they would be so good. They would be disgusting. But no, they just choose not to, and the whole Kuminga situation also puts them down. So, yeah, I'm just gonna give this team a D, to be honest. Like they have been pretty disappointing. Houston Rockets, I think Houston, I'm between a B and a C here. I'm just kind of confused as to like what Houston really is missing. Like, it's point guard play, obviously. They need an initiator, but it just feels like this team is missing something more than that. It just feels like this team is still missing shot creation, even though they got probably the best shot creator of all time this offseason. It still feels like this team is missing some more offensive firepower. You have Şengün, who's a good post bully ball player. He can be your offensive hub, but if you don't surround that hub with things that could, like, feed off his energy on the offense and, utilize how much gravity Şengün and KD pull, like, I just don't know. And they've lost some really, really, like, bad losses. They've had some really bad losses this season. And people are saying, Freddie's going to come back. I don't think a Fred VanVleet saves this team. If anything, I don't know if Fred VanVleet is what they need. The Reed Shepherd archetype is more of what this team needs than Fred VanVleet. If both of them were fully at their potential, I think Reed Shepherd is way better fit for this Rockets team. And you saw it. You saw it when they were playing, I think it was the Thunder. I think it was the Thunder where Reed Shepherd comes in, he hits a bunch of threes, and he just ignites. It was the Timberwolves, I think. The Timberwolves. They were playing the Timberwolves. They were down. Reed Shepherd comes in. He hits a couple threes. He just kind of ignites a spark in the offense. And that's kind of what this team needs at a full-time level. They need that at a starting caliber level. Reed Shepherd still has a long way to go in his development. They need kind of like a, I don't know, they need like a Darius Garland, maybe just a player. I'm not saying like the specific player, just the archetype of the player. They need like a Garland or like a Trae Young, but his defensive liability is so much. But I feel like with if you put Amin at the two, like he kind of masks up the defensive liability because Amin's been great defensively. But yeah, I think the Houston Rockets get a straight C here. They're doing fine for what they wanted to be, but there's still a ways to go from them being an actual threat to Denver or OKC come playoff time because, dude, and Dorian Finney-Smith, they were very, very happy to bring him in this offseason. He looks horrible out there. Maybe, he's coming off injury, so I'll give him some more time, but I don't know, man. Maybe you shop Dorian Finney-Smith and some players and try to pick up, a point guard because right now you are a legitimate starting caliber two-way point guard away from being a contender, like a full contender in the West. Because right now, I would give you the third best odds to come out the West, maybe the fourth. But yeah, the Rockets team, they need a point guard, bro. Indiana, y'all, Tyrese Halliburton is literally this entire offense. Now I know injuries and stuff, but god damn, bro. This team without Halliburton was still in it with OKC come Game 7 when Halliburton went down. And I know that, they kind of tanking. They're throwing these games on purpose, but still, bro. I just have to go off what I see, and this team looks terrible. And direction-wise, like, dude, what are you doing when Halliburton comes back? Sure, you get a top pick. You pair him. How is that top pick going to develop necessarily? Because now, I'm assuming you go back to win now mode with Halliburton coming back if he's fully healthy and like the same player he was. What is a, hey, if you get a Boozer or you get a Debonsa, like how does that player develop? How does Debonsa develop with Pascal Siakam in the lineup? How does Boozer develop with Halliburton in the lineup? These are all questions they need to ask. They will be lucky if they just land Darren Peterson. If they get Darren Peterson, this F goes all the way up to an S because Tank perfectly executed. They got the one player that could probably be the best fit for them because Matherin's probably leaving. You get Peterson, this team could be dangerous again. But yeah, right now, as of January 19, 2026, this team has been terrible. I don't know what they're doing. They need to stop throwing games. But yeah, F tier. The Clippers. Y'all get a C, bruh. Y'all started off terrible. Now y'all look good. Y'all get a C. Y'all have just y'all looked A tier and y'all have looked F tier. I'm just going to balance it out and give y'all a C. Dude, if this Clippers team just didn't have that terrible start, they would be exactly where they want to be. But, they're cutting it close. I think they're 4 or 5 games behind 500. They get to that 500 mark, it's a whole new season. It's 0-0 from there. So, yeah, I think the Clippers, if I'm any of the top seeds in the West, I kind of don't want to see the Clippers because I would much rather see, who else are playing teams? Portland, Phoenix. I would not want to see Kawhi and James Harden in the play-in if I'm any top seed because if those guys catch fire, they can knock anyone out. They can knock anyone out if they catch fire at the right place in the right time. But yeah, their season just has been a roller coaster, so I'm just going to give them the flatline C. The Lakers. Los Angeles Lakers the Lakers always just never make sense to me because the LeBron contract kind of cooks their ability to actually be what Luka needs. And LeBron, you also just can't like get rid of LeBron. He's LeBron James. So what does this team even do at that point? It like I can't give them any of these because you know they have had some very very exposing losses. But at the same time, they've had some very very high points in the season where they had that Austin Reeves breakout. They have some players that have stepped up for them, like Marcus Smart, like Jake LaRavia at times, DeAndre Ayton at times. But I don't know if they're like good. I don't think they're good, bro. They can't defend shit. They don't rebound. I don't know what they do besides score the ball. And like in the NBA, you can't just score the ball and be a good team. I'm giving them a C, but I think the Lakers, once LeBron leaves, like it sounds bad, but LeBron's really holding this team back. And I love LeBron. He's my favorite player of all time. LeBron leaving will be the best thing that happens to the Luka Lakers because LeBron's timeline and LeBron's contract and all that just doesn't fit. Like overall, LeBron doesn't fit with this new era Lakers. And I don't blame the Lakers. Like this team honestly is Anthony Davis, like a healthy Anthony Davis away from being like one of the best teams in the league. But I don't blame the Lakers. Like you had the chance to get Luka, you're gonna go get Luka. But I don't know. Like the Lakers, just this team. I'm not gonna like. I can't have a full opinion on them until the LeBron like makes his decision. He's like, I'm gonna retire or like I'm gonna go somewhere else. But LeBron is really holding this team back, and that's no shade to LeBron. He's still the go. He's still really good. It's just the contract and the fit, man. Like you can't you can't bench him. He also just can't play defense at a high level. He's 40 like 2. Like what can you do? It's just Lakers are stuck in the pickle, but luckily they got bailed out with that Luka trade, so I'm not really mad. The Grizzlies, yeah, y'all get a D, bro. Y'all y'all make no sense, bro. Cause y'all know y'all want to get rid of Jaren Jackson and Jaw. Maybe not Triple J, but definitely Jaw. You know the Jaw situation is over. I saw a report earlier that said they want to remedy it. Then I saw a report saying they're gonna send him off. I don't know what's going on, but they need to figure it out with the Jaw situation and whatever they're gonna do with the rebuild because yo, this team is not good. They're not bad. They're just mid. But like, I'd much rather just be a tanking team and just get the job done. But yeah, I guess the Memphis Grizzlies they're just like bad in terms of goals and basketball. Miami, Miami, Miami. Miami's just been solid. They're gonna do the same thing over and over again until the end of time. Oh, we're gonna go get this superstar, this disgruntled superstar. We have this package, and they never do it. Well, we'll throw you in a Khalil Ware, Tyler Hero, and a first round pick. Give us Giannis, and they'll just never do it. They keep living in this cycle of mediocrity, where it's like we're gonna have this group of a bunch of 84 overalls. We're just gonna have a shit ton of 84 overalls on our team. We're gonna be a decent team, maybe catch fire in the playoffs, and then lose. It's the same thing over again. Take away the Jimmy Butler years. This team, that's kind of what they do ever since Jimmy Butler went down or went away, or like when he was injured. Even when Jimmy was there, like y'all know, bro. Y'all know it's the Heat way. They don't like tanking. Heat culture. Sometimes that's just not good because if I'm Miami, bro, either you're pushing all your chips in and you're going all in on a star, or you just blow this thing up and tank, bro. Because Khalil Ware doesn't seem happy there. Like I don't know what's going on, bro. Like Pat Riley needs to learn how to make a trade, bro. He needs to make a move and get a star, or he needs to blow the whole thing up. And I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't think he's gonna do either, to be honest. Milwaukee, y'all get an F. Y'all get an F. Since the start of the offseason, y'all have just made perplexing move after perplexing move. Y'all are bad this season objectively. Giannis, the whole Giannis situation, y'all need to make a decision about that. Y'all just it's been just a big question mark, and for me, a big question mark means a big F in terms of this tier list. So Milwaukee, y'all get an F. Minnesota, Minnesota this season is my dark horse. to make it to the NBA Finals. Minnesota has everything you want from a team except a point guard. This team and the Rockets are very similar, except this team is much more. It's less revealing that they don't have a point guard. Like the Houston Rockets' flaws, they look bad when they look bad, but Minnesota has a good job of covering it up, and that cover up is basically give the ball to Ant and move out the way. And if KD was still like fully KD, he could probably do the same thing, but he's obviously getting older. I think Minnesota, like the fit in Minnesota is a lot better than Houston, even though Houston necessarily may have more talented players. I think the fit in Minnesota is better. I just think Julius Randle working with Anthony Edwards, Dante DiVincenzo, Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, who's really, really good for them, and Rudy Gobert. I think that team, the cohesion is much better than Houston Rockets. And I think Minnesota is really, really good. Like, even without Ant, they look good. With Ant, they look even better. Minnesota is legit. They've shown that they could beat OKC with a clutch Ant game winner. They have the clutch player of the year. They have an MVP candidate, in my opinion. And it should be in MVP talks. I don't know why he's not. They have a legit number 2 with Julius Randle. Go watch the tape, bro. Julius Randle can step up when Ant is out. Julius Randle is good at basketball. Very, very good. I don't know if they deserve an S, though, because this is kind of what Minnesota does every year. They have a really good regular season, and then the annual conference finals appearance. But I think this year might be a little different. I think they might genuinely knock out OKC. But I want to see them make a move, because come playoff time, you can't rely on Mike Conley. Mike Conley's old. Mike Conley is a great locker room player at this stage in his career, but you cannot rely on Mike Conley to initiate your offense in the playoffs. And hopefully at the deadline they're active buyers and they get a point guard or they get some sort of guard play. But other than that, Rudy Gobert looks good on defense. He's a PR machine for my parlayers. But yeah, this Minnesota team's legit, bro. The Pelicans, yeah, y'all suck. The Pelicans are the prime example of Murphy's Law. I don't know, is it Murphy's Law where it's like everything that could go wrong goes wrong or whatever? That's this team. Y'all don't have your first round pick. Y'all superstar player is good, but y'all probably gonna trade him soon. And the only bright spot on this team is Trey Murphy, Derek Queen. Herb Jones fell off. Not fell off. He's regressed. He's still pretty good, but not the same Herb Jones we saw last year. Derek Queen looks good at times, and Trey Murphy has been on a tear. And like that's the only good things about this team. Like y'all can't even tank because y'all don't got the pick. I don't know, bro. Like, y'all got figured out in New Orleans. It's gonna be a rough couple of years in New Orleans because that basketball team is just not good, and the future doesn't look any brighter either. New York, the New York Knicks. They have been on a terrible losing streak ever since the turn of the calendar year, and honestly, even before that, I never really thought this team fully could win a championship, primarily because I don't trust Karl-Anthony Towns, and that's kind of why I put them in the C tier. Come playoff time, I just don't trust how Karl-Anthony Towns would match up against an OKC, would match up against the San Antonio, would match up against, teams that can play physical, teams that have legitimate good big men. I don't even know how he's going to match up against Jalen Duren, bro, because Cat, he has this tendency where every time he plays aggressively. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. But he'll pick up 2-3 cheap fouls in the first quarter. He'll come in the second quarter or the third quarter, whenever Mike Brown plays him. He'll try to get the offense going, but he doesn't do what he's good at. And that's like shooting the ball off the pick and fade. Instead, he'll try attacking the rim on a defender who's clearly like more physical than him. He can't draw the contact. The Cat is just NBA soft, and I really like the guy. He's been through a lot. He's had a rough couple years, but NBA wise, he is very, very unphysical. And if I think this team wants to win, he's got to improve on the defensive end, and he's got to be more physical, because that's the only way this team is ever going to get to the championship and win. Otherwise, I don't see a world where the team is able to mask up Cat's lack of defense and physicality. OKC Gotta give them an S. Like, it don't matter, but this shit's inevitable. Like, you can't like you can't not give them an S. They're good, even if they aren't. They got the Clippers pick, and like even when they're not healthy, they're still good. They just blew out my Cavs without J Dub or iHeart, and yeah, it it's gonna be hard to see a team taking this Thunder team out. But I like I said earlier, I do believe in Denver. I do believe Denver has the capability to take out the OKC Thunder. But yeah, I don't have much to say about OKC. They just get S tier. Orlando, Orlando been fine. You give up like a king's ransom to get Desmond Bain. They've been good. You know, they had a couple good games in the in-season tournament. They've been fine. Like, I think Paulo needs to come around a little bit more. Anthony Black has emerged. This team is calm. Like, it's just a calm team. Like, I don't see them getting anywhere past like maybe the second round. But yeah, now that I think about it, Loki, I'm gonna put them as C. But yeah, this B tier looks kind of vacant because yeah, I don't know. All these teams are just like mediocre expectation wise. But yeah, I think a Magic Paulo's jumper needs to come around if this team wants to make any noise, and I don't know if that is ever coming around. Okay, finally, a team that could be in the B tier, Philadelphia. You know, coming into the season, a lot of people wrote off Philadelphia. They're like Embiid's gonna be hurt. You know, I didn't see Maxi taking this big of a leap. I thought Maxi would take a leap. I didn't think it would be like one of the best scorers in the league type leap. But you know, he did make that leap, and he's been great. BJ Edgecombe looks good. Paul George, for his contract, does not look good, but as a basketball player, looks really, really good. For his role on the team, he looks good. Not for the money he's making. They're gonna regret that contract, but other than that, Embiid is coming back slowly. You know, his form looks better. He looks healthier. He's looking more physical. He's attacking the rim. I think Philadelphia has had a really, really, really solid year. A very good year so far. Much better than what Philadelphia fans were probably expecting, health wise and basketball wise. So, very good for Philadelphia. Happy for them. They get a B tier. Phoenix, another team. I'm gonna put them in B, but this like a B plus. So I don't think they've had a Detroit or Minnesota type season, but they have been very, very good. Dylan Brooks has brought a new culture to this team. Dylan Brooks, he has transformed the team. The Jordan Ott, he's a really good head coach. Devin Booker looks like Devin Booker. Mark Williams. This team is nice. This team is probably a first round exit, but this team is good. Like, this team is a competitive basketball team. They can win games. They have a winning record. But like, the only reason they're in B tier is because nobody thought they'd be this good. But I don't think they're an A or S tier. I don't think they've like exceeded expectations that much to where they're like a contender. But they're a good team, and for that they get the B tier. They have been, I wouldn't say elite, but they have been solid without KD. And that KD trade, people are saying Phoenix won. No, they didn't, bro. You gave up Kevin Durant, and no matter what, Houston will always win that trade because they got Kevin Durant for somebody who isn't even playing for the Phoenix Suns right now. So yeah, in my opinion, they lost the trade, but they are still a very quality team. And Jalen Green, I think he came back today. Actually, I didn't really tap into that, but he's been he's been decent in the like 15 minutes we saw of him before he went down with the injury again. I don't know how it'll fit with this team, but Phoenix has been fine. Phoenix is a solid team, B tier. Portland. Portland honestly can get another B tier. Denny Avdia has taken a leap to star level, all-star level. This team is, what, now 500, I think? It's kind of like, you know, better than what people thought. You still have Dame, who hasn't played, Drew Holiday, who's coming. You have a decent squad. Shaden Sharp looks pretty good. But I think they're still a couple pieces away from being a legit playoff team, and I think maybe this draft, I don't know if they have their pick, but if they do, this draft could be a place where they look for some wing depth. You know, Denny can be the 4 to 3, but they need a full-time one of those positions. If Denny plays the 3, then they need a 4. If Denny plays the 4, they need a 3. assuming Shaden Sharp plays the two. Scoot Henderson, I don't know if he's even played, but he's still injured if I'm right. This team has been good. This team has been very, very promising. That's the right word for this team, and that's why they get a B tier from me. Kings, F tier. Do I have to say anything? They're one of the worst teams in the league. Little to none when it comes to young talent. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There's nothing going for Sacramento. They just got a tank. They they have no direction. They I have no clue what's going on in Sacramento, to be honest. They're not going to move on from Sabonis, Levine. I don't know. They need to find trade partners for those two ASAP. DeMar's been cool, but, that's really it. There's no direction with that team. San Antonio, S tier. I don't think their coach is necessarily the best when it comes to rotations. I think he's a good leader. I don't think basketball wise he is the best they could have, but he's been fine. But some of his rotations are whack at times, and you probably saw that from my TikToks. But I think this team it's an easy S. Nobody expected them to be a legit contender in the West this year. They thought they would be like a playoff team, like a legit playoff team, but they are legitimately a contender. And being able to knock out OKC 3 times is crazy. And Wemby is taking the superstar level. This team, it's all coming down to the same thing every year. Every year from now on, it'll be the same question: Is he going to be healthy? Is number one going to be healthy? Because if Victor Wembanyama is healthy, this team with Stephon Castle, who has been great this season too. I saw a clip by Draymond Green that said San Antonio is as lucky to have drafted Castle as they are Wemby, and he's right. Stephon Castle can play great defense. If he can stop picking up cheap fouls, Stephon Castle is going to be a great two-way guard in this league, one of the top guards, premier guards. But yeah, they just have so much promise. Dylan Harper is still dude, number 2 pick. He barely even gets minutes on this team. He's like their backup point guard. This team is disgusting. One thing I do think they should do is move on from Fox before that money gets too much for them to pay. I think De'Aaron Fox it might be time for him to get traded. The Raptors, this is between an A and a B for me. Toronto's been really, really good, and that's thanks to Scotty Barnes. But I'm gonna give them like a B plus, just like the Phoenix Suns, primarily because I don't know how good they will be in the playoffs. They have met to exceeded expectations, but not by too much. I think they are a team that is not necessarily bad, but they're not great. They're in the middle. They're like good. They're just straight good. Kind of like Phoenix Suns. Except this team, if they get a center, they'll be very, very good. Like they'll be on the Detroit level, in my opinion, because they have Scotty Barnes, who's very, very good at basketball on both ends of the floor, and they have Brandon Ingram, who could turn up. They have Quickly, who they need to probably move because that contract is massive, but I'd say like they're a B tier. They've been a pleasant surprise this season, and that's kind of what the B tier has been, just pleasant surprises. And then A tier has been like, okay, these guys are genuinely legit, and then the S tier is like, okay, these are teams that either severely exceeded expectations or like are genuine, just gonna win the championship probably. And yeah, that's why I have Toronto in the B tier. Just a pleasant surprise. Scotty's been great. Brandon Ingram's been great. Whatever they're gonna do with RJ and Quickly is something they need to figure out. And Jakob Poeltl, who's been really, really bad. And yeah, if they move on from those three, it's going up to an A tier. Utah, I don't know if they deserve an F tier. Utah's been cool. They're not good at basketball, but they at least have some bright spots. They got Keontae George, who's dropping 30. You have Laurie, who's been really, really good. But yeah, other than that, who really watches Utah basketball? To be honest, they kind of they're looking pretty mid. I can't, not even mid. They're straight bad. But yeah, they get a D. Kind of self-explanatory. Washington, save one of the most interesting for last. Dude, call me crazy. I think Washington has had a very promising season, primarily because of one thing: that Trae Young trade. They got him for pennies on the dollar, and he's kind of someone I expect for them to be like a bridge guy, kind of like what what I'm trying to find like a comparison for this. Kind of like what Daniel Jones was to the Indiana Colts, except like make Daniel Jones like better. Kind of like what Sam Darnold was for the Seahawks this year. Like you bring him in, you expect like nobody thought the Seahawks were going to be NFC like contenders, right? But you bring him in, you can build this like kind of program. Like they could be a sneaky playoff team next year, and like if it clicks, this team could be like one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, especially because this conference is low key pretty weak. But like, yeah, they get Trey for CJ McCollum, who they really don't necessarily care about, and who else do they give up? Corey Kisper, who's a very solid 3-and-D player, but nothing really too special right there. And like, yeah, this is a pleasant move. It's a really nice move for them. I think that it's B tier. So yeah, this is kind of my tier list of where every team stands, how much they have impressed me, how much, you know, I think the team is like exceeded or disappointed expectations. But yeah, this is not a tier list of what teams are good at basketball. It is more about like what teams, just where every team stands overall. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, subscribe if you like the content.